Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Parenting Through the Coronavirus Pandemic. I hope that you are all doing well where you are. I hope you're all healthy and safe and finding your way in this suspended animation of life as we know it. That's kind of what I'm calling it. I can tell that the stress of this situation is really starting to wear people thin, from the clients that I work with as a coach to friends and people that I interact with through social media and email. Parents particularly are feeling very spread thin, trying to work from home, help their kids with their schoolwork, entertaining them, trying to do a million jobs, household care, child care, working, paying the bills. Maybe someone's lost a job. There's a lot of stress right now for so many families. And there are many hidden benefits in this time of quarantine, including family connection time to slow down maybe and reassess. And I've been talking about that constantly for the last 8 weeks. But it's hard to lean into any of that if you are feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, spread too thin, and stressed to the max. So what I want to remind you today is how important it is to take care of you. You may need a timeout, and that's okay. If you're feeling grouchy, irritable, exhausted, stressed, frazzled, depressed, hopeless, angry, and then you have your kids asking you for things. Maybe they're squabbling in the background. Maybe they're having trouble getting online for their school or their class. Maybe they need help with a math problem. You're not going to be able to show up the way you really want to show up in those moments if you are just at the end of your ropes. So if you're feeling like that, you might find yourself saying, yes, that's me, but I don't know what to do. I don't know how to not feel frazzled or not feel stressed. You need to take care of yourself. You need to find a way to refill your own bucket. And I can also hear you saying, but I don't have time for that. I've got so many demands and so many things need to be done. I don't have time to take a nice warm bubble bath. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to meditate. That is not necessarily true. Before this pandemic, many parents complained of, I don't have time. Many parents said that. I don't have time. I'm working. I'm running the kids around to their sports and their practices and their games and their lessons and this and that and the other. And we're going all weekend and we're going out of town for tournaments and all this kind of stuff. I don't have time. That's been the default cry of parents for so long. And during this quarantine, our time has opened up in a strange sort of a way where we kind of have more time. And I don't know about you, but it seems like time is going fast. I feel like I don't have as much on my agenda, on my to-do lists, on my schedule, on my requirements. But then the late afternoon comes and I say, oh my gosh, what just happened to today? Where did it go? How is it half over already? And so it's a weird thing what's happening with time right now, but just like before the pandemic, And the same thing during the pandemic. You can find time. Excuse me. You can find time for things that matter. If you, God forbid, but if you got sick and you had to go to the emergency room, you wouldn't say, I don't have time for that right now. You would just get yourself to the emergency room. Or if your loved one had to go to the emergency room, you wouldn't say, can we do that tomorrow? I really don't have time today. You would drop everything and you would get your loved one to the emergency room. If your child fell and skinned their knee while you were on a work call, you wouldn't say, oh, okay, just keep bleeding over there. I'll get you when I'm done my meeting. You would say, I need to duck out of this meeting for a minute. There's an emergency. And you would go handle the emergency. So the historical cry of, I don't have time to care for myself is not true. You can carve out time. You can find time, even if it's only for 10 or 15 minutes or an hour or once a day or whatever. You can find time. You might have to get creative about it. You might have to let your kids sit on an iPad for a little longer than you normally would so that you can get that extra 15 minutes to yourself to do what will refill your bucket. You have to know what fills your bucket. Like I said before, a hot bubble bath, meditation, exercise, a chat with a friend. What makes you feel better? Reading a book in peace and quiet. What makes you feel better? Figure out what it is that makes you feel better and then figure out how you can make that a priority. You will find time for the things that are a priority. You just do. You find time to take a shower. You find time to go to sleep at night. You find time to eat, hopefully. The things that are priorities in our lives, we figure out how to fit them in. So self-care may be something that tends to fall off your list. I know it used to fall off of mine all the time. It seems like the easiest thing to let go of when you're busy and you're spread too thin, but it should go higher up on the list when you are exhausted and frazzled and spread too thin. That's when you need it more than ever so that you can not feel that way anymore. So I urge you, please, if you're feeling frazzled and stressed and exhausted by the marathon of this pandemic, please put yourself at the top of your list and figure out what fills your bucket and then figure out how to carve that time out and make it a priority so that you can fill your bucket. Because once your stress level goes down and you feel more rested, your tolerance will be higher, your compassion will be deeper, and you will be able to show up the way you want to show up for your children, your significant other, your friends, your family, your work, everything else. You've got to take care of yourself first. All right, that does it for today's show. I will see you here Monday. That's the next time I will be here. I hope that you make it a great rest of the day and a great weekend.